what it would be like to have a farm or to start a business in Africa as somebody that lives out of the country or out of that continent. What does business and relationship have in common? What are some of the challenges that new business owners are facing that can help you make a better decision for your vision or for your goal? Welcome to the lounge. Today, we're talking to a business owner that attempted to start a farm in Sierra Leone. And it's a wonderful conversation that we can all learn from.
So, welcome back to the Sisters Let's Talk podcast lounge. We welcome all our podcast audience and our YouTube audience. If you haven't subscribed to us on the YouTube, make sure you press that button, subscribe. So today, our conversation, it kind of stemmed from the last few episodes that we've had with Kaba. So I don't know if you have listened. It would be good to go back to listen. We talked about building a home. Kaba was trying to build a house back home in his hometown or home country, Gambia. And then at the end of the conversation, we were privileged to have this sidebar conversation, and we started talking about farming and just how good it is. And I think we both thought, Puma and I thought that this would be something good to explore on. So today we are going to be exploring and talking about farming, specifically poultry farming, and just doing a business back home for those of us in the diaspora. So I am Lucia.
Me, your co-host.
And we welcome you to the Sisters Let's Talk.
Thank you.
So we have Mr. Josie, who is going to be our expert on this topic today. So quickly, Josie, he said he doesn't have a biography, but I'm gonna give him one. So Josie is by background from Sierra Leone, so woohoo, another Sierra Leonean representing. And he is we tend to bring not just people we know. We've had people we don't know, but we also have people we know because we all have something to say. Sometimes we go out looking for other experts when you have someone right there that knows something. So Josie, some of us have known him since we were just, first of all, how long? I was trying to think about it. I think I was 11.
Like, let's just say almost all their lives.
Yeah, pretty much. And Kumi, I don't know, Kumi, did you ever meet him? I think because that was through your husband, because
Yeah, my husband has, not me.
Yeah,
they were in the choir
we were in the choir
together.
together and all that.
Small
So
world.
I know, right?
And here we are finding ourselves on the other side of Africa, talking about what we can do back home. So before we go back, Josie is just going to discuss some of the things that he experienced trying to have a business back home. He is qualified, I think, to talk about this. And he is by background correct me if I'm wrong, financial. He can talk about finances and accounting because he has an MBA in business. He is an economist, and if you want to do anything about budgeting, for me, this guy, to the tenth of the penny, he will account for it.
That's like a headache already. Because I have a non-accountant accountant that I'm married to, and yeah, the pennies scare me.
So, Josie, welcome to the Sisters Let's Talk.
Thank you, guys, and I appreciate being here today.
All right. So for me, let's start. Maybe we could just do a little bit of our icebreaker before we go into something so serious.
I know. So, icebreaker, since the little bird whispered something to me, I will just go. Um, if you were to give two words that that can that you think will combine business and marriage, what would that be?
Lordy knows.
Whew, that's a tough one.
I know.
Um,
Just two words
and
right up your head. Business, marriage. What would those
trust, trust is
trust?
one. I think because in business, whoever you're working with, whatever partnerships you're building with with a person or people, you have to be able to trust each
Mm-hmm.
other and also respect. And you have to respect the people you work with and respect their qualifications and their
Mm,
experiences and respect the fact that and trust the fact that whatever advice they're giving you, you'll be able to use them to grow your business in whatever way whatsoever.
Yep.
So yeah. And
Same
the
with
same thing for
marriage.
marriage.
Yep.
Exactly. I always say in marriage, in actually any relationship, marriage or friendships or whatever it is, you have to trust the person and be able to respect the person. And Lucy and I have known each other for most part of our lives, and I think one of the things I admire about her is the mutual respect we have for each other as friends. And you know I trust, I call her for advice on various things. I mean, even if I feel a little bit of headache, she's my on-call doctor to say, hey, I did get his headache, or I'm getting a hurt bun. Why am I getting
Yeah.
a hurt bun? So, I trust her advice. And even though I'll have to go see my doctor, but at least that first call, I
Yeah.
call her as a friend and say, hey, can you advise me on this? What is going on? And I'm able to, her expertise is very valuable to me, and I'm able to use that in whatever way whatsoever to benefit me. So, yeah.
okay.
Lucia, what would be
Hi.
one word?
Can I ask a question instead?
Business?
No.
No.
Oh. Uh, business. Marriage. Okay. I guess experience. Why? Because I
Yeah.
think in you can start a business without having experience. This is very true. But experience also has value in terms of running a business, starting a business. And I guess the same with marriage. I mean, obviously, the intention was never to have divorce, but people have had experiences. So you going into it, it's always good to talk to others, even if they've been married for 40 years. Still talk to them. They may have something to give of value. So experience, I guess. No matter how long you've known them,
That's
when
a
you
good
get
one.
into the marriage, is something else. I don't know
Hmm.
what happens. Something changes. There's a switch that flipped. Why? I have no idea.
Well, Josie's trying to get into it. Don't scare him. He's gonna go into it and
Why?
and
It's
just
a
be.
good.
We'll just if you need. We have a lot of things on marriage. We did a whole year of series on marriage, so we will recommend that
Yeah.
for
No,
you.
I mean,
Yes.
For me, I mean, definitely when she speaks about his experience and just encompassing all with the trust and respect, I also just believe that one of the biggest criteria or issues in marriages and for a lot of people is that when people lose trust in each other, lose their respect in each
Right.
other, and most importantly, I think they lose the friendship that they had or have with each other. And I've always said this before I decided to marry all my years. I mean, Lucia knows that about me. There was a time I was so outright that I'm not going to get married. And one of the reasons why that is the case is because I never felt like I ever built that friendship with whoever it is that I was with or dating, whatever the case may be. And I'm one person that I'm, you say, once again, I know that you decided, you've made that decision, you've thought about it, and bye. I mean, people say, well, that's not how you do it. But again, before it gets to that point, there are a few things that you lose on the way. And that's the friendship, that's the trust, that's the respect. And once you're at that point, I don't think it's recoverable anymore. I mean, once you lose trust, once you lose respect for that person in some way or the other, and you lose that friendship, how do you maintain that marriage? Again,
Well,
I
I
don't
think
have
you
that.
want to start a whole marriage series. We have to do another recording for this. Otherwise, it won't
Okay,
get done.
so
Trust me. Trust me.
let's go back to a regularly scheduled business.
But I like where that conversation was going. I like that
I
part of
know we
Yeah,
it.
should just bring
yeah.
it back to
I
a
would
nice
say my
topic.
word. Oh, we do have to. We do have to. I like where that is going. I'll say my word is service. Service in the sense that in business, if you go in there, and I'm learning this more and more as I delve more into working on my own business, is you have to go in with a mindset that you're ready to serve the audience that you want to serve, that you're making whatever the product is or the service for. You have to go there trying to meet their needs and not you pushing what you feel is this good product that you have to them. Is what they want that you are selling and what you want that you're serving them with. So is marriage. If you go in there every day looking to serve your partner, you're gonna win every time because you're doing it out of your self will, even though it is the hardest thing to do. But if you go in there every time to serve both ways, both people are looking to serve each other. Um, it helps a lot of conflict. It helps divert a lot of conflict. So for me, it would be service.
Hmm. Okay.
So
I'll note that down.
yeah.
I mean, just write that down.
Well, thank you. I like all the answers. Those are good.
So speaking of
Um, so
service,
let's start.
yeah, go
Mm-hmm.
ahead.
So thinking of service, Josie, what are some challenges faced by those in the diaspora heading back? And what, like, if you want to name two of the bad, what is that challenge that people are having, especially when they're going back or even before they think about starting a business? What is that disconnect or the most challenging thing for them?
The first one I'll say is that assumption that we know what the people
Mm,
back there want, or what the child. I mean, you Africa in general, Sierra Leone. I'll use Sierra Leone as a case study in this case. We have a lot of challenges, and I look at business as you mentioned earlier. Service is one important thing between that you can say is common between marriage and business. And when you look at a country like Sierra Leone, we have several challenges. So your goal is to try to figure out what those challenges are and try
mhm,
to find a solution to it, as in every
mhm,
other business. So you
mhm,
try to find a solution that you would offer people and they will get. But assuming that you know what those challenges are, you also are not aware of what the other challenges that you're going to face once you get there and you start a
mm,
business there. And one
mhm,
of the challenges in Sierra Leone there, from my experience, is is the most simple thing that you think about: theft.
mm,
Theft is so rampant in any business in Sierra Leone, and as much as you will try to say you mitigate those risks by putting in place certain things that should encourage people not to steal,
mm,
it's going to happen.
mm.
And the reasons for that are a different conversation.
Wow.
You know, Akaba
So
mentioned something like that,
just
didn't he?
mhm. So just giving us a background or giving our listeners a background, what was the business you were trying to start in Sierra Leone that did not work out that well?
So I left in 2018 to go to Sierra Leone, not necessarily to go start a business. I
Mm-hmm.
actually was going to Sierra Leone to consult with the Ministry of Health as a management partner from Gavi. And so when I got there, you know, I started looking at things from a different perspective, trying to understand the food sector in Sierra Leone. For instance, you know, I grew up on a poultry farm. My parents had, my mom specifically had a poultry. My dad started and my mom continued it. And, she had it running till about 2015, 2016 when she shut it down. And it comes with a lot of challenges. So when I was there, one of the first things I noticed is that we had no locally produced poultry meat.
Wow.
And in terms of the poultry eggs in Sierra Leone, we were basically importing over 90% of the poultry eggs that we eat in the country. And when you're talking about
Wow.
poultry meat, we were 99% importing everything. So other than the little country fall that we
Mm-hmm.
have, I use that word loosely. I mean, and people have their little, you know,
Backyard farms.
backyard farming and everything.
Yeah.
There was no locally produced, for in a large scale, on a large scale, that
Yeah.
would actually support consumption in the country. So I started looking at it and I started asking my mom questions like, why, what happened? Growing up, we had so many different poultries, Paflord, um
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Those are
Said,
big names. Yeah.
Mr. Son, who was a Chinese farmer there that had over 40,000-50,000 birds back then. My mom had birds. We were raising close to 8,000 birds back then. So there was, you look at that and you ask the question, where are all these farmers? Where did they all go?
Hmm.
And, my mom started telling me the challenges are enormous, and to sustain a poultry business, you have to look throughout the value chain.
Hmm.
And as long as there is a disconnect between the business you're doing and the value chain and the supply chain, yours is not going to succeed.
So
Yours
what
is not going
happened to the supply chain? Like, was there not a need for our local poultry anymore, or
I would
what
say
happened?
people,
what
we were importing a lot more, and so now you have the local farmers competing with whatever is imported. That's one of the reasons.
But isn't that what happens everywhere, though? Is like
well
even in
well, well
the U.S. and
Let the economist
Canada, like.
answer that one.
No, seriously, I'm asking like just the genuinely, I don't know. Like,
the simple answer is that is the simple answer, but that necessarily is not what
mm,
happened throughout the years. And the war is a little, the war is one thing that impacted that,
mm,
but that's just on one side.
one side.
Sierra Leone, from what I know, long term, we've been such an import based economy
Mm,
compared to other countries. So our productivity has been low in all of the aspects. So what was the challenge there? Production of grains like maize
mm-hmm.
dropped.
Okay.
Production of maize.
Right.
I don't even think we've ever had a large scale production of things like maize,
Mm-hmm.
and all other things that are important for
The
animal
feed.
farming in Sierra Leone, because it's not just poultry that needs maize. All
Okay.
form of animal farming requires things like maize and all these other grains for sustainable production, because
Mm-hmm.
even your goats that you have will eat the maize if you want to make a good, feed production for them.
Okay.
So we lack that production throughout the supply chain. So we don't have enough maize production. We don't have enough protein production, let's say, for fish, because we use fish as part of the
Mm-hmm.
protein for the feed for poultry and other animal farming in Sierra Leone. So that lack of productivity throughout the supply chain
Mm.
basically depreciates the value of whatever you're trying to do if you can't get the feed readily available. So most of the feed that we get, we have to import.
Wow.
I mean,
And that raises the price of,
That
like,
raises the price.
obviously importing them and that, and then
exactly. So the cost of
yeah.
production becomes high. And
Uh-huh.
now people want a cheaper cheaper version of what they want to consume. So you look at I remember the last I was selling chicken, it was chickens, the broiler chickens I was selling. We were looking at about what 60-70,000 per
Mhm.
chicken, whereas the imported chicken was only about 30,000, 40,000 max, right? So why was mine more expensive? Because my cost of production was high, and even to make
Mm.
a 5 or 10% margin on my
Mhm.
products that I sell, you
Mhm.
know, it's already high. So it's not even competitive enough for me to compete against, or it's not easy for me to compete against the imported,
The imported
products that
one.
are coming into the country. Y- Yeah, there's value in locally produced. There is value.
Mhm.
Why? Because it's fresh. I mean,
Yeah.
when I process chickens, you get them fresh. You get them
Yeah.
same day. I process them. I deliver them same day to you. It's up to you to decide how long you want to keep in your refrigerator for,
Mhm.
versus how long you know. Whereas if you take the imported chickens that comes, first of all, you got to think about the fact that they were produced in a different country, and the
Mhm.
timeline between date of production to that getting on that ship that it's freighted over to Sierra Leone, it's probably a week, 2 week, 3 weeks. And
And what is
there is
being
no
fed.
place.
All right, we're going to stop here for today. Find out next week how this conversation ended. Did Josie end up having a solution? Did he find solutions to his many challenges as a poultry farmer? If you have comments or feedbacks, or you've also experienced something similar, please send us your comments. If you have solutions to some of these problems, these issues that we are bringing up, be sure to post them, because this really is for us to help each other grow. Sometimes we have solutions at the end, sometimes we don't, but someone else may have come up with a solution. So as you've heard us talk so far, we've been talking about challenges that the farmer faces. Now, specifically, this farmer was in Sierra Leone back home, but it is not unique to Sierra Leone, as you will find out. It is challenges that other countries also experience. People in the country and diasporans who have gone back to start their own business. World Health Organization has mentioned that the young farmers are no longer wanting to farm. Why? Because of so many challenges that Josie has brought up in this conversation. Where's the value? The value chain and the supply chain, there's a disconnect. So it is something that we should all think about as we try to fix some of these issues. There are many to fix, but nothing is impossible if we all come together and put our mind to it. Join us next week. Be sure to check us out on our YouTube page and our social media page on Facebook and Instagram. Till next week, bye-bye.